Oh, okay. All righty.
All right, so we are joined from Athens, Ohio, by my man, Dr. Neil Littell, graduate of Madison Central High School, graduate of Holmes Community College, Mississippi State University, there in the Ross College of Engineering at Ohio University, home of the Bobcats. We thank you so much for joining us today. We're in the
Mhm.
manufacturing career cluster.
That's
I've got a room full here with me at Velma Jackson High School. We're recording this for all
mhm.
of our friends in Madison County Schools. Madison Central, Rosa Scott, Ridgeland High School, Germantown High School, the Academic Options Center, and our YouTube channel. So we thank you once again for taking some time to join us today.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. I remember my time at Rosa Scott fondly. So
All
very good. It probably
right.
looks a lot different now than when I was there.
Oh man, you ain't kidding. Now before we get into all it is you do at OU and all the great things in manufacturing that I think a lot
Mhm.
of kids don't know about. Graduate of Madison Central High School class of '99.
Yeah.
You were involved in the band. You were involved in the choir.
Yep.
And even though you have a PhD now, you
Mhm.
did not go straight to the 4 year college. You went to Holmes
Mhm.
Community College. So talk a little bit about that experience and why you chose to go
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
community college first.
Yeah. Great question, Greg. I appreciate it. So, for me, going through high school, I always worked. I kind of enjoyed the grind per se. I guess it gave me something to do outside of extracurricular stuff. And my first job was working in a factory making boxes back when I was in high school, and that was kind of my first exposure to the manufacturing environment, I would say. And so, it sort of was a life-changing experience for me because it really sort of exposed me to what manufacturing is all about. And my perceptions of manufacturing at the time were different than the reality that I faced. And so, my understanding of the manufacturing environment back then, without being there, was like manufacturing's dirty and rough, and all of the bad things. Like, when you think about places you'd like to be in a manufacturing plant, is probably not one of the things that people think about. And what I discovered was it's it's not true, right? It's all just like it's not like that. The people that I worked with were awesome. We had a great time. We were all working together to do great things, and we had our marching orders every day, for lack of a better term, like the stuff that we need to do, and you work together to get it done. And so it was not like this miserable toiling experience out there. It was very nice and rewarding, because you were part of a team and you were getting stuff done. So, but you ask why I went to community college. So I had kind of researched the college experience, and I realized through conversations with people that many times the classes, as long as you're taking classes from an accredited institution, the experience is largely the same, right? And so the differentiators between, like, an elite university and, like, maybe not as elite a university, as long as they have the same accreditation, are like how good the football team is, or things like that. And so there's value in that as well, and that kind of feeds the experience. And working in higher education now, I do see that higher education is sort of migrating more into an experience, like a life experience, versus just a pure education experience. So,
Absolutely.
I went to community college because I knew I wanted to go to Mississippi State. I talked to some professors there, and I figured out that, hey, these classes I could take at a lower cost locally, keep working, keep making money, and the credit is the same as if I were taking the classes at Mississippi State. So for me, it's sort of like a value proposition thing. It's like, okay, I can take these classes. It's going to cost way less. I can stay here. I can keep doing what I'm doing, put some money in the bank, and at the end of the day, get the same deliverable. Now, I deviated from that plan because when I started taking classes at Holmes, I realized that I was pretty close to an associate's degree, and I was doing something I love, which was engineering design. I have a drafting and design degree from there, and so I was like, okay, well, I'll just take these extra classes. So I took some classes over the summer, and I was able to get that degree. And I have to tell you this: when when I interviewed a decade ago at Ohio University, the chair of the department who hired me told me the reason that they hired me to be a professor in this program was because of that degree from Holmes Community College, because
Wow.
I'm a professor in a manufacturing engineering program, and we want to make sure that the people we hire are applied and we know how to do stuff, not purely academic, right? And so that was a differentiator even for me with the PhD.
That's incredible. And
So
I now
sorry, as
and
a
you know
professor, I could
now
talk forever. So,
absolutely. And now at Holmes, and I'm not affiliated with Holmes, but now at Holmes Community
hmm
College, 20 on the ACT is 100%
hmm
tuition. So even if you just want to do, and we're
Oh
about to talk
wow,
about those
okay,
trade programs. Even if you want to do those trade programs,
yeah,
that 20 on the
uh-huh,
ACT, you can learn it for free. And I think you know as good as anybody
yeah,
else right now in
hmm
manufacturing, trade degrees, machinists,
hmm
welders, uh, uh, IT
oh yeah,
people. These
oh,
are careers,
electricians,
electricians. These are careers that can literally make in the six figures once you get your foot in the door. So even though obviously
yeah,
manufacturing engineering
yeah,
needs more engineers, they need more, the
hmm
architects on the construction side. But when it comes to the actual making of these products,
yeah,
the robotics certifications, the machinist certifications, these are careers that are going to be extremely
hmm
lucrative, not only now, but in years to come. So, talk about some of these trades that you see because you work with a lot of
hmm
companies. A lot of these trades are making a lot of
yeah,
money, and
yeah.
you can
Thanks.
learn them in 1 or 2 years.
Mhm. Right. Well, the other thing that I would add to that is, there's a lot of people who are scared that AI is taking over. It's going to be
Right.
really hard for ChatGPT to wire something. So, I mean,
Absolutely.
I think that those trades where you're doing you're accomplishing a physical task that, okay, here, basic economics, right? If you can do stuff that other people can't do, you get paid more. Period. That's why doctors get paid more. That's why lawyers get paid more because they're doing something that people can't do or are unwilling to do. And if people approach some of these physical trades, tool and die makers, prime example. That's kind of
Oh,
like an advanced, specialized type of machinist. Um, but I mean, those folks make a ton of money. And so the ability to do applied work with your hands, to accomplish something and help move the needle. And that's the other thing is, when you work for a company, you have to think about your value proposition for the company because you have to generate more value than you cost. And it's not just your paycheck, it's your benefits, it's the taxes. So your company will pay federal tax on you, and you don't even see that. So they're paying that kind of behind the scenes as well. And so, you have to contribute more than you cost. And then the company also has their overhead expenses, right? Electricity, insurance, all of that stuff has to be covered as well. So, um, yeah, the skills that are out there are very, very highly in demand. Um, and I work more on the digital side, I would say right now, and so we're seeing a ton of work in um, digital engineering, digital transformations, and really what that's about is helping teams of people work more efficiently together. If you think about all of the individuals. I talked about working as a team in my first job,
Yeah.
making boxes, um, coordinating the activities of people to get the best results. There's value in that, right?
Yeah, and I forgot another big
Yeah,
trend right now in manufacturing is mechatronics. I know Holmes and Hines have both moved into that because you
yeah,
mentioned the AI. There's going to
hmm
be people needed to program these robots,
yeah,
and the robots now are becoming a bigger part. I
yeah,
know
yep,
everybody's familiar with Nissan here in Canton. The robots are becoming a bigger part of that, but they need people to make sure those are efficient. They need people to repair them if they break down. They need people to program them. So it's not just like you said, it's not just the dirty
right,
on the assembly line. Let's get all messed up every day.
right. Well, and Greg, I think that's a great point because if you think about it, if you can work on those robots, that's not something everyone else can do. And so, what does that mean? That translates into dollars, right? So, talking about if you can do something that people can't do, you get paid more because you're adding more value, right? And so, that's just kind of the economics of life, And Greg, I don't know if we've ever talked about this, but so I do some work with the Society of Manufacturing Engineers, which is a
Yeah.
national association for people. I met at a conference in November, and I got to apologize for not reaching out to you about this sooner. But I met with a guy from SME at a conference, and he's their director of their foundation. They have a ton of scholarships that are available for students going into manufacturing and manufacturing engineering programs. And I feel so bad for not mentioning this to you because what his name's Philip, and what Philip told me was the scholarships that they love to give out are for people that apply when they're in high school, going into a manufacturing field. Um, the application process for the scholarship is as short as possible. He told me it should take less than 2 hours um,
Wow.
to do, and it's nothing crazy. And I can help you through that. They unfortunately just closed this round, but I'm gonna connect back with you and talk about that process so that you can help your students in this class get some scholarships. Philip told me so. SME gives out over $1 million a year in these scholarships, and they have trouble finding enough applicants to give money to. There's no strings attached. So some people think when you get a scholarship, it's like, well, they're giving me money, they're going to expect something in return. No, they're not. They're giving you money to better yourself, to better the United States. That's it. Period. They want you to go into manufacturing, right? And so, but those scholarships are also up to $20,000. So
Wow.
what I'm going to ask your people to do next year is donate 2 hours of time to potentially get $20,000, no strings attached.
Wow.
So I'll connect back with you in a little bit. I also volunteer to review those scholarships. So let me get through a review cycle, and then I'll be able to better help you engage with your students and how to complete those applications.
Well, I've got all 10th graders and ninth graders with me right now. So that's something that they can definitely look at in the future.
Okay.
Uh, but before I get to their questions, I do want to talk,
Yeah.
we talked about the trades, but I want to talk
Okay.
about the engineering programs here in Mississippi because we've got some great ones. I know you're obviously a three-time graduate of Mississippi
Oh yeah.
State. Mississippi State is known for their great engineering program.
Yeah.
Ole Miss also is really getting big in the
Absolutely.
electrical engineering side. Jackson State has added all types of civil and industrial
Mhm.
engineering. So it really is a great field to get into right now
Mhm.
for people that want to go, that want to get the 4 year degree. So talk about what if somebody wants to
Mhm.
say, I want to be an engineer, I want to go to Mississippi State, XYZ. What are some things they need to be prepared for and things they need to
Yeah.
be ready
Yeah.
to learn? Because even though even
Mhm.
though we just said we need the tradespeople, we need engineers in these fields as well. So what are some things they would need to learn while they're in these programs?
That's right. Yeah, so working in the Russ College of Engineering and Technology, I get to work with engineers of every flavor out there. For me, it's about understanding what each type of engineer does, the type of work that they do, and also understanding yourself, right? So, you know, when I was working at Viking Range, interviewing engineers that we were hiring, Viking Range in Greenwood, Mississippi, over there.
Yeah.
I remember we would talk to our engineers about, do you want to do stuff with your hands? Do you want to be out on the floor doing stuff, or do you want to be more behind the computer tickling the keyboards all day, or do you want some kind of balance in between there? And the what I see in my environment, as well as I know every engineering college sees this, is there are misconceptions about engineering. I think this is why your program is particularly important to help people understand these different lenses of engineering and how they play out. Um, but we get people who go into mechanical engineering, for example, no problem with that. But once they get into mechanical engineering, they'll say things like, "This is not at all what I thought it was. I want to do this other type of engineering." And so what happens is that potentially can delay your graduation because you ended up taking classes that maybe don't count for another major. So what I would encourage people to do is look for job postings and like, okay, this is the job I want. What do I need to get there? And then think about those steps you can take. Math is a big deal in engineering, of course. Anything you can do to build your math skills is important. The other thing that one of the biggest challenges for me as in higher education is there are many students who approach college and the college experience, the university experience. You go in and you get these classes that you have to take, and you see them, and people will approach them as hoops they have to jump through. Like, if I jump through all these hoops, I get a degree at the end. That is incorrect. And the reason is because it's more of a chain, not hoops. And so what that means is the classes build upon each other. And so if you take a class and then you're like, well, I'm never going to use that again, guess what? It's going to come to bite you, and it might bite you in 2 years. And so you really have to kind of change your mindset of this is a kind of a holistic experience, not just these little hoops that we got to jump through, right? So those are some of the challenges with engineers. Communication is really challenging, and so if you want to be a really good engineer, work on communication skills, work on emotional intelligence skills, um, tell stories, start practicing telling stories to people. There's tons of YouTube videos out there on how to communicate better. Think about those. Consider watching some of those instead of. I honestly, I think if you were to analyze your how you spend your time, right? So like if you were just sort of like if you just for a week, if you took out some paper every night and you wrote down what I did hour by hour by hour, and you look at it and then you think about, okay, which of these activities adds value to my life and which of these doesn't add value to my life? TikTok, YouTube, video games, social media, whatever, all that stuff is like it's candy, right? It doesn't help you grow. It tastes sweet, but once you swallow it, it's gone, right? Versus, I read this book, I watched these videos on self-improvement. So if you can think about ways to continuously improve yourself, that's how you grow, because this is a journey. This is not um a switch, right? Where you just wake up one day and I jump through all these hoops and I'm an engineer. Um you gotta approach it from a holistic perspective.
Absolutely. And also those technical skills. I have kids all the time say, well, we're using
Hmm.
MacBooks. That's all I want to use. You got to use multiple operating systems. You're going to have to learn new technologies, and you're going to have to be able to
Yeah.
train
Yeah.
people. These tradespeople, you're going to have to. They're going to be the ones doing the
Hmm.
work, but you're going to have to train them to show exactly what is needed. So I'm glad you mentioned that communication skill. Now, I do want to get to
Yeah.
some of these questions. And these are really good. I get to as many of these as I can.
Okay. Yeah.
I like this one. This is Shanaria
Okay.
Lewis. She's in ninth grade, and she asked, "What is the biggest safety concern when it comes to manufacturing?"
Oh, great. Great job, Shira. Yeah. So it's highly dependent on the context, right? So like if you work in a plant that does chemical stuff, you're going to have different hazards than you would in at like Nissan, right? And so I think that the best thing you can do to avoid injuries is be aware. You have to be aware of your surroundings, and you have to every company is going to have safety protocols and procedures, and some of these are mandated. Many of them are not. Many of them are just the company trying to keep people safe. It is not in their best interest at all for anyone to get hurt ever. And so, understanding and respecting those rules and understanding that those rules are in place for a reason, and that reason is to keep you safe, is really important. Technically, if you look at literature, I think lower back injuries are the most common injuries
Yeah,
in the manufacturing environment. To answer your question, so, but that's like across the entire industry.
I like it. I like this one. This is Janila Carter. She's in ninth grade, one of our cheerleaders here. And she asked, what has been the most fun thing you've ever had a
Okay.
chance to manufacture?
Oh, I love it. I love it. So, I I still do a little bit of work with Viking Range, and I love working with them. They're an amazing company. If you ever have a chance to visit them in Greenwood, Mississippi, or work over there.
Oh
But
man,
I
tell
had
me about it.
the one of the projects that I yeah one of the projects that I got to lead was the development of their French door oven, and so. It's an oven that has doors that open like this versus like this. And so when you think about it from a design perspective, it makes no sense for us to have ovens that have doors that open like a normal oven does in your house, because if you think about the operation, you have this door that's 400 degrees that you're trying to reach over to put stuff in the oven. But that's how it's always been done. And so that the design of an oven that has doors that open in a more user friendly and safe way was really rewarding to me. That product is one of our best selling ovens. We launched it in 2014. So, a decade
Wow.
later, and we're still selling a bunch of them. So that was a really fun one. I got to lead the development of the light rings that Viking Range uses behind their knobs. So, like, if you look at their products, it has the
Wow.
blue light rings,
Yeah.
and so
Yeah.
that was a fun little project there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I think that's interesting because literally everything that we use every day was manufactured by somebody. From the clothes that we wear to the shoes on our feet,
Oh,
the cars that we drive, the technology that we use, the food that we unpackage. All of that was manufactured by somebody. So these
yes.
careers are not going anywhere. I have time for two more. This is Callista Brown. She's in ninth grade, one of
Okay.
our basketball players, and she asked, "What was your inspiration
Okay.
to get into this? Was your family supportive of it?"
Oh yeah, Calista. Yeah, great question. Yeah, so um, I have to admit, yes, my family was extremely supportive of it. I have two uncles who have industrial technology degrees from Mississippi State, and so
Oh, cool.
I did have conversations with them around manufacturing, because they both work in manufacturing, and I even did a plant tour at one of the plants where one of them worked, which is a plastics plant, and yeah, so they were extremely supportive of me going into manufacturing, because it was just not it was not a big deal, because we were very ingrained in that culture already.
Awesome. I got time for one more. This is Zariel Snow. She's in ninth grade, one of our
Okay.
cheerleaders. And she asked, if someone was going to get a
Okay.
four-year engineering degree, would it be better to go to a community college first?
I think it. I think the answer is it depends. It depends on your situation, what you're wanting to do. It you have to think about the um, the hidden curriculum, we'll call it, of the university experience, and so some of that means learning how to live independently of your family, right? And so if you're the people that have a lot of problems, in my opinion, or struggles, I should say problems with struggles, are the people who rely on their parents to wake them up in the morning, their parents do their laundry, all they have all this infrastructure, then they go to college and that just goes out the window. And so My biggest piece of advice for anyone going to college. And so you would be surprised at how many problems this will solve if you will wake up at the same time every day. Just wake up the same time every day, okay? And eat a reasonable diet. Not it doesn't have to be great, but like eat stuff that was green at one point, and something that stuff that grew. That will solve a lot of problems for you. Stay away, in my opinion, stay away from too much sugar and caffeine and all that stuff because it disrupts your sleep. And we as human beings are essentially driven by chemicals, and so the food that you eat is chemicals, right? Whether that be proteins or not just like caffeine and stuff, those are chemicals as well. But everything that we consume is chemicals, and your body reacts to that. And you have to do everything you can to make sure your body is running as efficiently as possible. But to answer your question about 2 year versus 4 year, in my opinion, it depends. It really depends on your personal situation, um, and what you want to get out of the experience. I will say, if you do go to community college, do not assume that classes will count towards the 4 year degree. You have to do the research to make sure that this class counts for this class. So what you want to do is, if you're going to go to a community college, think about your 4 year plan, engage with that 4 year university and tell them, hey,
Yes.
I'm wanting to do this, and then come to you. What classes count for what? So you don't take the wrong English class and you end up having to take it all over again. And you end up wasting time and money doing something that ultimately doesn't work for you. So
Yeah, and I think
if
another
anybody
thing
has
is,
questions,
yeah.
yeah.
No, I was gonna say, I think another thing
If
is,
if anyone has
um,
any questions or comments or anything, yeah,
we got a delay. I'm sorry,
we got some
but
delay here.
I was gonna say,
Yeah, that's okay.
another thing is you have to think about how you learn, what you're used to as far as your class size. We went to Madison Central, and it's still a huge school, so people are used to big classes. But I tell the story all the time. Our friend Doug Mays, we were in a class at Southern
Oh
Miss that
yeah.
had 500 people in it. We did not know each other was in the class until the last day. So it is that easy to get lost in the shuffle. So that's something to really think about as well.
Yeah, yeah,
But go
yeah.
ahead and finish your statement, and we'll
And
wrap
then
up.
yeah, yeah, sounds great. Yeah, so don't be afraid. So unfortunately, in higher education, we have this these terminology, and abbreviations, and we say things like credit hours and that stuff that doesn't really translate to high school, and all this jargon, right? Do not let that intimidate you. Please don't, especially if you are a first generation student, meaning that maybe your parents didn't go to college, and you don't have someone that can help you navigate some of those dynamics. Most universities, if not all universities, have offices specifically for first generation people, so you can go there and say, hey, somebody said this credit hours. What's a credit hour? Like all of that stuff, all of that jargon. Don't let it intimidate you. It is not intended to intimidate you, but unfortunately, it does for some people. Some people feel like, I can't do college. I'm not smart enough to do college. You are incorrect. There are very, very few people who are not smart enough to do college. A lot of it is really understanding how to be successful in the environment, and then working to make sure that you're setting yourself up for success.
Yeah, because I think
Thank you so
both
much,
of us
Greg,
went to
for having me.
yeah, both of us went to SEC schools, and we were around some pretty dumb people, and they got degrees. So obviously that proves your point. But we're almost out of time. And we thank you so much for taking some time for us. Like I said, I just think it's so cool. All these years later, another great alum of Madison Central. And like I
Yeah.
said, I think Miss Ware would be very proud to see two of her former choir members doing this today. But before we go, like we
I
said,
hope so.
everything that we
Yeah.
use every day is manufactured by somebody. So these careers are not going away. So
Yep.
why should these kids really consider learning these skills to get into the manufacturing field?
Yeah, so that's a great point. Manufacturing is here to stay. It's not going anywhere. It's a rewarding career choice. It offers a lot of it to me. It's finding something that you're passionate about and then being able to contribute to that something is very rewarding for me. It's appliances because I love to eat and I love to work on the appliances that people use to better their themselves and provide food for their family. That's rewarding to me. And that's why even I've worked for Viking for almost 17 years now.
Wow.
Kind of on the side now for the last 10 years. But it's a great company. I love working with them, and I think what you want to do is figure out what you're passionate about. Don't approach manufacturing as a job. Approach it from a I'm passionate about this thing. I like this thing. This is how I'm going to contribute to society. This is how I'm going to build capabilities for my family and be able to ultimately improve um, everything about our lives, right? So that's to me why people should consider manufacturing.
That's awesome. Well, again, we thank you so much for fitting this in your schedule. Dr. Neil Littell at the Ross College of Engineering, all the way from Athens, Ohio, at Ohio University. So, again, we thank you so much for joining us, and go Bobcats.
You're welcome. Thank you very much, Greg. If anyone has questions about the college experience, I'm happy to engage with them. So please just let me know.
Absolutely. All right. Talk to you soon, buddy.
All right. Bye.
See ya.